Welcome, everybody, to another Battlefront to Homefront podcast. I'm your co-host, Scott Jones, along with Sean. And Sean, you brought somebody with you today. We're going to get to that, but I want to remind everybody, please take a moment to like this show, comment, and certainly subscribe to the channel. First, hey, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Things are going great so far.
Once a month, we get together to do this, and it's like, you expect like there's a lot going on. Is there anything been happening this past month that you're excited about, or that's
It's always something that's this past weekend we were down in Sunrise at the community resource event, and it was phenomenal the number of people that were there. We were just out there sharing the information, connecting with our community partners, and it was just wonderful. They brought out stuff for the kids. They had bouncy house. They had all kinds of on-hand stuff for them to look at. It was phenomenal.
So let's just do a quick recap before we get into our guest here with Mission United. The purpose, I guess, just kind of cookie cutter. What is the purpose of Mission United?
Our focus is helping those at low income and homeless and high risk becoming homeless veterans and their families, so helping them get back on their feet and whatever they need. Primarily, we're looking at housing first, but if they need something else, we're available to help them with that as well.
And this is a big need, bigger than it should be.
I totally agree. It's amazing the number of vets who are unaware of the benefits and entitlements that they can do because they've been so told no for so long, or nobody ever informed us. So it's a huge need. I can't tell you the number of vets we help just in a week time. So
Sean, you've been there for a while, and now we've got Bryan Jones.
Hey,
not the same drummer, not the
from the Rolling Stones. No,
because he's
not even related.
Okay. Darn, right?
Yeah, I know. That would have been great. Nice. Well, he never really made it big, but yeah.
Hey,
would have been great.
You're part of the Stones. You're big enough. Bryan, how long have you been with Mission United?
Over 5 years.
Oh, okay.
I started there as a what's called a WEX program with Career Source. They placed me there while I was going to school, and I just saw all the great work that was going on with them, and how they were helping the veterans, and that they needed more people in there to help the veterans, more staff in there to get more done. And I took the chance and said, hey, I want to do this, and they hired me.
I'm assuming you're a veteran.
Yeah, United States Navy.
How long did you serve?
3 years, 7 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days, but I really didn't count.
But nobody was counting. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Appreciate you. I got it. Both of you. I want to talk a lot about all these, especially we want to get into some of the other supportive services that people might not think of and that you guys provide. But before I do, I'm going to ask both of you. You're both coming out of the service and you're walking into a situation where you're helping other veterans. Were you aware before you started doing this work about how bad it is for some of the veterans out there, or how many need help? Was it a surprise to you?
No,
it wasn't a surprise
for me, because in a previous we discussed before I got voluntold to be the command career counselor because our current one had transferred out, and because we weren't high on the needs for a replacement, they asked me to take over because I was pretty much in my department, because even though I was a navigator, admin was part of what we did. So I did a lot of homework, and I was flabbergasted during that process about all the stuff that was available. And I'd done a little bit of volunteer work at out in San Diego. There's a veterans housing home area, community, or wherever they call it. So did a lot of work with them, and I definitely was mind-blowing to it, but I wasn't surprised after I got out because I'd already done.
You'd already been exposed to it, but you were surprised when you started.
When I started going down that road, I was totally surprised that there were so much services entitlements that no one ever talks about. No one was sharing that information, and I was flabbergasted when I learned. And one of the things that actually surprised me, I attended a temple in San Diego, and they used to bring in speakers, and one of them was the DAV,
Disabled American
Veterans. Yes, thank you. And they were talking. I'm already aware of a lot of their services at that point, and they were talking to all these older vets, and some of them were totally shocked. There was a gentleman who's Korean War vet. He said, well, I was a reservist. I'm not entitled to anything. He goes, did you get a DD-214? He goes, well, yeah. This dude broke down in tears. All these years, he thought he wasn't entitled to anything because he was a reservist.
Wow.
And he got called to active duty, but he didn't, because he was still a reservist. He thought he wasn't entitled to anything. And it was amazing the number of people in that room were they're blown, and they were upset the fact that all these years they were told they weren't, to find out they were.
Yeah, if you do 1 day of active duty services, not including boot camp, then you're entitled to the services. So
Wow.
if you're a reservist and you get called up, like he said, then you qualify.
Wow. So were you shocked when you come out of the service and you started to get involved with this kind of work? I mean, did you scratch your head at one point and just say, why is it so bad out there? How come these people aren't getting services?
Yeah, when I started this 5 years ago,
Yeah.
I was amazed at how many homeless people, how many mentally challenged people are out there that come out of the service. But when I was a veteran, 30 years ago when I came out, I just went to school and tried to get my degree and stuff, and then had my issues and stuff like that to fix. But and then came down here and went through all the stuff. I've never knew that there was programs like Mission United out there until I started working as a WEX there. All I thought was the VA was it, and that's all you had.
Right.
So now, since I've been in there, I've the DAV, the VSOs, helping the veterans, our programs helping the veterans, advocate program helping the veterans. There's so many different programs out there to help veterans and just people in general. It's amazing how much support, especially Florida, down here in South Florida, it is for homeless people and people in need.
Wow.
They've got those 2 new programs for mental health and substance abuse, the PAC program and the COPAC. What's the other one?
The
Compact Act. Yeah. And a veteran can go to any psychiatrist and get the help. They don't have to go to the VA to get it, which is a great program, and the VA pays for it. So they don't have to go to the VA. A lot of people have negative feelings towards the VA. I did at the beginning, the care and stuff like that. In the beginning, 30 years ago, wasn't that great. But nowadays,
why did the VA get such a bad rap for so long? I mean, maybe even they still do, but was there a reason why people were always upset with the VA?
It's because
bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy is it's a pain. Like, to get a doctor's appointment could take 6 months, and you weren't allowed. If you went out in public, you're paying. But
is that understaffing or over red taping?
Red taping,
or is
but
it
mostly red tape? It's
red taping, and then they tie the hands of the doctors to be able to actually take care of you. So if you want to get testosterone, your levels are low, you have to wait. You have to go through a process of red tape, jumping hoops, all that stuff for over a year before you can get testosterone. I can go down the street tomorrow and get it from any doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's insane.
It is.
But again, when I was 30 years ago, doctors were most of the doctors that are at the VA were from people that got malpractice suits, and they had to do volunteer work to pay off malpractice. Right. And that's part of the problem too, is that we weren't getting the top-notch doctors. Now we're getting people from Jacksonville, the professors from Jacksonville coming over and teaching their kids at our VA. We've got some really great doctors out there now.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much they've gone from here up to here. I mean, they still need to get up to here, but they've come a long, long way.
Well, like any other business, you could have bad employees or employees that don't do their work, but that's not. And
the government has a lot of that.
But that's not been the major problem. It's not about the people as much as the bureaucracy behind the machine.
Well, the bureaucracy.
So even good people, I would assume, would lose their drive and become
mojo. Yeah.
Yeah, they lose their mojo and feel bad.
They got to follow the rules, and it's like you want to help the guy, but you have to do this step, this step to do it, and it's like insane.
Yeah,
and that you can see that in the faces of half the VA when you go there.
And then you also have to think about it is where can you be seen? We have a outpatient clinic in Sunrise off a commercial, Bill Kling, but we only have 2 hospitals. One's in West Palm and the other one's in Miami. So they can only do so much at a clinic.
Right.
But you have, that's just, I got to drive 45 minutes to Miami, but we're just talking about here in South Florida. But when you talk about other remote locations where they have to drive hour, 2 hours, some of them have to fly if they want to be seen by a VA.
Yeah.
And getting
hospital,
and you can submit a travel claim for reimbursement, but there's no telling how long it'll take for them to process the claim. Because I can tell you that I submit my travel claims. sometimes I get it quick. Sometimes I get it like 2-3 months later. Depends on when they process it.
It
Yeah.
seems to me that fixing this system should be a priority. I mean, we're talking about our veterans who should be, they should be elevated to a level of the most cherished of Americans is our veterans.
And first responders, yeah.
And first responders, of course.
The people that service the people.
And I'll put school teachers in with that too. Those are the people. Without them, we don't function. And you end up with all these issues. Now, I'm always shocked. You guys both were saying it a lot already. You're talking about there are tons of services out there.
Yes.
Lots and lots of services.
And
we could always probably improve them and get more or do something. But there's so many that are just being underutilized. Why?
Because nobody knows about it.
Well, also too is you got to remember a lot of nonprofits, even particularly for we don't have our own marketing team. We have to use United Way because they have more funding than we do. But a lot of nonprofits, when you talk to them about their marketing capability, it's very small. A lot of grants that are written for nonprofits only allow you to use money for certain reasons, but marketing is always a small piece of that.
Yeah.
So they rely on people like us who are out in the community talking to people. But I mean, we don't typically have radio shows. We don't have billboards that I'm aware of.
Yeah. United Way does in the airport.
Yeah. But it's very difficult for us to spend any of our grant and our money because when you think about like, do I help with housing or do I do marketing?
Yeah.
Where would you want your money to go to? A homeless veteran or just a
if you blow your whole budget on marketing and now all of a sudden somebody, I'm going to come in and it's like, sorry, I got no money to help you now. So, I understand it's a difficult balance. But I'm just, has this always been this way? Is this a new thing or
no? It's
always been the same problem.
It's been the same problem.
And what responsibility would the armed services have to inform these people better than they inform them at this point?
That's another thing too, though. When the people come out of service, they're the transfer point, they're inundated with information. You get too much information.
Mm-hmm.
So then they don't know what to do or where to go and all that kind of stuff. And they remember a tenth of it. They just want to get back home, go to school, whatever they're going to do and move on with their lives. So they're not really thinking of the other things that they may need. And by the time they get to that point, they don't remember any of it. So
now
that's a part of the problem.
Yeah. Now we are lucky enough. Like I said, a couple of years ago, a lot of us got together with Steve Warner and his group and said, hey, they let go all these National Guard people because of vaccine, budget cuts, and et cetera. How can we touch those individuals? So I managed to connect with the coordinator for Southcom that deals with the transition classes. So we're very lucky. We're one of the few groups that actually get in there and talk to these individuals before they leave military service. Hey, there's a little toolkit. Just keep it in the back of your car like emergency. You never know in case you need it. Take this information and store it someplace so when you have that emergency folder, you can pull it out and go, oh God, these are the people I can call. So we've been very lucky because our TAP coordinator will tell you that we're the only group that she's seen probably southeast of the United States that actually bring in community partners, employers, people who own their own business to give them an idea what to expect when they get out and to keep down the road that they may never know they may need, or they may run into somebody who needs it.
Right.
And we go into the community too, and we tell them about all the different programs like NSU. They have a medical, dental, and psychiatric teaching. They have teaching programs. So they use it as part of teaching, but that professors are there to also help. So if you don't have insurance and you're a veteran, you can go to NSU and they will do it for you for free or a minimum cost, depending on what you can afford. Yeah. But mostly for free.
I just joined the dental program because the VA doesn't cover dental. So I went down to Nova University to find out if it was cheaper than my typical dentist, and I'm in the program. So the next step is it not cost me anything for them to do dental work for me.
So you just want to hope you don't get the dumbest kid in class. That's what you.
Even if you do, the professor's right there.
Professor's watch though.
Professor's watching there, and will take over in a heartbeat and finish up, make sure everything's done right.
Yeah.
If they're coming at you with the drill and your mouth isn't open yet, that's a good sign. Don't run away. No, that's awesome. But we were talking that obviously primarily this thing was set up really thinking about the housing and things like that. but there's so many supportive services that kind of shoot out from that and are even separate from that you guys are involved in.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some of those?
Oh, definitely. That's his program that he's in charge. You can talk about that.
Yeah, we're doing the mentorship program where we're getting mentors with mentees. Most of the mentees are going to be coming out of veteran treatment court. So the courthouse has a veteran court only. So if you're a veteran and you get in trouble with the law, you can go into veteran treatment court and they'll process you. It usually takes a year and a half, depends on how serious the problem is, maybe 2 years. And you go through that program and you graduate from that program. It's a great help to move you forward and not get stuck with the record and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's interesting. Why would that be necessary to have a separate veteran course? Is it because they've gone through things that other people wouldn't understand, or
right?
What is the reasoning behind that?
Right. Well, us military personnel go through boot camp and we get our mindset gets changed. So gets adjusted. Like I said. And some people can't handle it. They get Section 8 right in boot camp. They can't even handle it. So and then there's other people that go through it and then collapse afterwards. And then there's the rest of us that get through it but still have issues, or some get through it and some anyway, everybody's different. But the veteran treatment court is run by a 3-star general from the Army.
Wow.
Judge Merrigan, great guy. Prosecution, he's Army, also Army.
Yeah.
Now the public defender, he's a civilian, but he's a bleeding heart, so he's really good at what he does. He's really helping.
So it's
he really wants to help the bigger person out, even no matter what. He doesn't look at the victims. He just looks at the guy that did the crime,
Of course,
and tries to help him out.
And then the vets tend to be a lot more receptive to the outcome of their court case because they're being judged by their peers, by people
Right.
that can relate. We can talk the same lingo and understand exactly if we're talking, military speak and whatever we know. They feel more comfortable to talk. They're a little bit more accepting of the program, know that they're being judged by another veteran.
And the VA's right there also.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Lee's there, and she helps get them set up with psychiatric, substance abuse, whatever kind of issues they have, get them into the VA or a community care program and get them help. So it's a great program. So if you have any veterans out there that are having those kind of issues and get in trouble with the law, go to veteran treatment court. So
I love the mentorship part of this that you're talking about.
Right.
Now, how would that work, and what would be an example of that for somebody who, would take advantage of the services? What would they do with this?
Okay, so they're going to go through the treatment court. Judge Merrigan's going to say, hey, this person would be a great candidate for a mentor.
Right.
So let me give him a mentor. And we'll have mentors on site. So they'll assign it to Stephen Moss, who's a great guy. He's one of the founders of Michigan United.
Okay.
And he's also a mentor. So they'll give him to Stephen Moss, and Stephen Moss will work with that veteran, find out what his problems are, what his issues, what his roadblocks are, and help him through that.
They're like a Jiminy Cricket to keep you on track. And
keep you on track, keep
Right.
you focused on getting the goal done.
Help you develop a plan.
Keep you on schedule.
Goals, keep you on schedule.
Get that
Keep
rigidity.
people accountable.
Yeah,
Mhm.
us military guys like rigid, so we like
Right.
schedules. And some people, they don't have that. They
It seems to me like a lot
Hurt
of problems
themselves.
stem from that. You go into the military. Now, I didn't go into the military, but my grandfather served, my brother served, my son served, and you go in and it's like they reprogram you. I mean,
adjust.
But they want
Little
to
nudge.
adjust you thinking that you do what you're told without question. You support your team. They're always going to be at your side and everything. Now, when you come out, it's like, okay, now you got to think for yourself.
You don't have a team anymore.
You don't have a team anymore.
Yeah.
Is that like one of the biggest adjustments there? Is just that having to become an individual as opposed to being a part of that the troop?
I think for me personally, it depends on what your last duty station is. We'll determine.
Well, obviously there's certain duties that are
like
different.
mine. I was a desk jockey. My job was being phased out, so I knew I didn't have to worry about being replaced by somebody else because they no longer need that position. I was the last person to hold it. So I had an easy transition. Where
He was in intelligence. They didn't need that anymore. Just kidding.
So
Sorry.
while other groups,
So many things I can say.
Yeah.
But let it go, people.
yeah,
Fill in your own joke there.
but if you talk about our individuals that, they're deployed, they're in a war zone and the end of their contract coming up, they're trying to do their job while they're trying to leave the job.
Mhm.
So leaving that can be a sudden, like stopping on your brakes, like you're going so fast and all of a sudden it's gone. So, but
Yeah, you have a multi-million-dollar equipment. You're in charge of personnel. You've got a lot of
Yeah.
responsibilities, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, go live your life now.
And then
And you're
I
like-
assume it's even compounded if you're leaving because of an injury or
Correct.
something, because it's like you didn't even plan on leaving at that point. Now you're out.
Yeah,
And
that's the
now
worst.
you're hurting, and this isn't. I don't think military is conducive for saying I need help with stuff. It's like people, they just work together as a team. So as an individual coming out, asking for help can be very difficult. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, I had a young lady that was working for me that her job was overmanned. There were too many people that were clogging up the promotion because they were all stagnating in the same pay grade. And I got notice. We're ready to, get deployed, and I have to sit down and tell her, like, listen, I just got this letter. The Navy's discharging you. You have 6 months to get they literally said, you have 6 months from the day I talked to her. She's a single parent, and she's got 6 months to figure it out. So her whole life shattered because she was talking about, she wanted to make the Navy her career. And the Navy says, listen, you're not performing at your job. We have to cut this, for funding purposes, we need to cut you. I handed her paper. I didn't know what to tell her after that because I had to leave her behind because we deployed. And it was heartbreaking to tell this poor woman, a single parent, that, hey, listen, I know you had a future and you had a plan, but guess what? The Navy has other reasons for you. I hope it works out, but I got to go. So.
Wow. And I could see all of these circumstances. I could see we're having a mentor or some guide of some kind. It's kind of like a life coach, but in a much better way, a really more effective way. What other kind of services do you guys have going on out there that you're working with in the community?
Well, we do employment, we do education, we do
Financial
assistance if you need that.
Now, that doesn't mean that your organization is actually doing financial loans or you help them to get where they need to go and do those things.
Yeah.
Right.
So
we do help with employment. We do have employment staff on site.
Yeah. And you guys, and you were saying you make partners with businesses and stuff and
like
that can be helpful too.
Definitely. And
but things like financial assistance, we can send them out to different agencies depending on what their needs are. We work closely with the VA, so if they're trying to do a VA loan, we can help them adjust with that.
Or, if they just need somebody to help them build a budget, they're there as well. Especially legal aid helps us with anybody who has court issues and cases.
Yeah, legal aid.
I love that. So even if it might be something out of left field, they can call you, and you guys aren't going to be like, no, we don't do that. Bye. You'll help them find.
Oh yeah,
we don't
ever try to hang up on anybody. We try to pass them on to somebody else that can help them. If they need food, we give them Life Net for Families or Feed Bank, or we do some food on our own self. We do get some people that bring in food for us, and then we distribute it. But we usually go to Life Net for Families off of Broward. They have meats, frozen meats, dry foods, all that kind of stuff. So
that's excellent.
Yeah, it's a great program. United Way helps fund them. And we partner with them. When we do housing, they'll help furnish the apartment. We don't do the furnishing for the apartment. We can help the veteran get the furnishings, help get the clothes, help get the food.
So you
and all
guys
that kind
aren't
of stuff.
interior decorators at all.
Nah.
That's okay.
But we do work with who was that Navy pilot? He had his own show, bald guy, black guy.
Oh,
he has a program that will go in and furnish your entire house.
Oh, wow.
And if you're a veteran.
you're better.
I mean, he does it on the show, so it's not like every veteran's going to get it. It's going to like a once a month thing. But Plovovich? No.
No, I don't remember. It's been a while. But I mean, we have, even though United Way is our parent company, we still working with them. Like we were talking about, is we have a suicide prevention group that we meet once a month, or sometimes we'll meet twice a month, depending on the event. As a matter of fact, I had recently a friend of my wife's, her son committed suicide a couple of months ago, and I connected her and her ex-husband with a group, and they're providing grief support.
Right.
So, and then you wanted the reading pals is the other night one.
Yeah, we also work with vet centers. They got 3 of them. One off of Sample, another one off of Oakland, and I can't remember the one south of that is. But I mean, there's so many different people that we work with. I gave your partner in crime out there the book, and the book's this thick.
Wow.
Of how many different programs we fund, and we also volunteer and do work with.
Yeah,
so it's amazing how much United Way and Michigan United help with the community. That's why I love working there. It's a great calling. So
it's definitely is, because like I said, is even though we focus on vets, we can direct the vets to the United Way services as well. Even though we're helping them primarily what we do, but we can share that information. Hey, listen, we have a young entrepreneur group that meets together that has a peer and mentorship group for them, for young entrepreneurs that are young in their early 20s that they started their own business, but they need guidance from other older business people who've been around the block. Like I said, the reading pals, reading to the kids, we're always looking for those.
Suicide prevention, drugs. Not for drugs, but to get you off drugs.
But we supported
like vape program, behavioral health.
Yep, we support the high schools with their anti-drug, anti-bullying programs. We support that as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I mean, it sounds to me like there's very few areas you don't get involved in. And, we always mention like, so you're talking about like reading to the kids and stuff like that. Do you consider that kind of an outreach into the families and the communities of our veterans?
Not just the veterans, we do that for everybody. But it gets our word out too. So we can go in there and we can talk to them, and then the kids go home, hey, the guy from Michigan, read some books to us or something like that. And then that kind of gets our word out too.
Oh, and I just remembered the other one that James is working with the judge is we're going to help veterans who have had their license suspended.
Yeah, the driver's license
is.
So we got a program out there that anybody has an issue with their driver's license, like they have fines or something like that, will help pay that off.
Or because
at no cost to the veteran.
Reasons, very few veterans and even most drivers that I've met are unaware that Florida has what they call a hardship license. So if say you're, it's kind of, to me, I get where but they take away your driver's license because you're in arrears for child support. But you can't get to work because they took your driver's license. Now it hinders you getting to work to pay back the child. It's kind of a double-edged sword, but they offer a hardship license that you could fill it out where they'll activate your driver's license. So, okay, I work from 10 to 2. They'll activate your driver's license from 9 to 3 so that you can get to work.
Right. Yeah. I've seen that up in New York many years ago. It was they called it a provisional license, and it just, you could only do certain things with that. But that's cool. How many people that you cover? What area? This Mission United, as you guys here, what area do you cover? Just Broward, or do you get into other counties?
Wherever we're needed.
Well, we're mostly in Broward, but we also help in Dade, and we can connect. If somebody's going to Oklahoma, we can connect them with the groups over in Oklahoma too. So, we don't say, well, you're going someplace we don't help.
No, we're not always contained by. No, we focus primarily about Broward, but we're not contained like a lot of nonprofits have to stay within their region. We're not. Like matter of fact, we're starting a Mission United in Okeechobee very shortly, where we're reaching out. We're connecting with our counterparts that are going to be opening it. So like my counterpart who's going to be working up there, I've been working with her, showing her outlines of things I've been doing, giving her suggestions, recommendations. So she doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. She could just basically walk in and start right there. She already has a plan. So I've been communicating back and forth with them about what it is that we can, questions they have, like, what do I do with this? Or how does this work? That's what we're doing.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, I mean, I would love to see this franchise to every state and doing that. And that's a possibility when you're working with the benefactor of United Way, because they exist everywhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that something you guys are looking at?
Oh yeah, we have people come in. We show them from United Way. They come in from all over the place. We just had a group from all of Florida come in, and they were amazed at what we do. Again, they didn't know this is what we were doing. We already have 22 sites, right? Is it 22 or 25?
I thought it was 29. We have
and it keeps growing.
It keeps growing. Last time, somewhere between 25 and 30. We have Mission United Initiative is in United Ways, but not all of them, like us, provide direct services. A lot of them, a vet could call and they'll help them refer them out to. They don't actually provide the service. They're a resource for them.
So they're more like a case manager. Okay, what do you need? Let's get you over there.
Or like
What do you need?
like
But they don't
211.
actually do any of the services themselves. You guys do both.
Well, you think about it, is Mission United's only 13 years old.
Yeah, we're the first one too.
We're the first one.
We're the first
It's-
one. Mr. Moss and a
his
group of veterans
So if you
came
think
in and
about
did it.
where they were in the beginning to where we are now. I mean, we've grown. We're constantly growing. It's getting, it's point that we're hiring people left and right because we need them. Like when we purchased our housing unit in Hollywood for transitional housing for vets.
We're gonna need somebody on
They're gonna
site.
need somebody on site. We need a manager, somebody,
Property manager
property
slash
manager,
case
yeah.
manager. Yeah.
So yeah, because we're growing quickly, and once everything was seceded, a lot of the other cities I've talked to in Broward County are standing by to like, okay, so you're done with Hollywood. Are you coming to our area next? They're
Yeah.
eager to help us.
All the sites, Sunrise, all those places want us to come in there, and we want to come in there. We just don't have the funding yet.
What a great point, because I know working with addictions and alcoholism and even mental health and opening up halfway houses, transitional houses, things like that. Everybody's, and not in my neighborhood.
Yes.
But when you're working with veterans, is it a different feel for the community they want to help?
Me personally, from the politicians I've talked to, a lot of them, they're very open when it comes to vets. They're more, because a lot of our politicians are veterans themselves.
Yeah.
Or they're related to somebody in the military, so they seem to be a little bit more open. But there are quite a few of them that do the pushback of not my backyard. I'm all for it, but not my backyard. So
Yeah, I mean it's kind of hard to have, you own a house and then you're going to have a halfway house or a transitional house right next to you with homeless people, and it's a tough thing, but it's definitely needed. And if you don't do it, those people are going to stay homeless. If you do it, those people can get their own apartments, move on to owning a house. We've had several people that went from homeless to actually owning a house, having a mortgage, taking their kids out to wherever, and all that kind of stuff. It's been great.
matter of fact, a couple of months back, I did an event in Sunrise, and there was a gentleman, we were talking back and forth. He's running his own nonprofit now. Told me that he remembered working with Marcellus. He was homeless. Marcellus, our one of our engagement team members, helped this veteran get back on his feet, get in his own place, and now this guy has his own nonprofit. Now he's giving back.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
that is cool. So some of the other programs, the mentorship, reading to kids, doing things like that. I'm trying to figure out which area do you draw a line, say we don't do that, but you guys really don't have that.
no,
If you find a need, you're always looking for a way to help. Does that sound accurate?
yeah.
Right, and we actually have on our website, UnitedWayBroward.org.
Yeah.
We have a veteran thing that we send out. We try to get as many veterans as we can and send that list out, saying what are your needs, what
Yeah.
are is
okay.
not
we
being
turned out a
covered.
survey that our boss created that just.
Our boss is James Heaton, by the way,
Yeah.
great guy.
Yeah.
He used to be a lawyer. He used to work for
Legal
Aid, and now he took over Mission United, and he's gangbusters on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
he's not a minute goes by that he's not on either a meeting or on the phone or something like that. It's insane.
That's
So we're constantly sending out survey because our engagement team, they actually have what they call street outreach. They go out and try to find the vets. What works, what doesn't work, what is the problem, what is not working, where
Where are your needs?
Where are your needs?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to throw up here.
Also, if you want
there's
employment,
the, UnitedWayBroward.org /Mission United. If you want more information, and that's where they can kind of reach out and talk to you guys. You mentioned families. A lot of times the families end up separated from the veteran because of mental health issues, because of maybe addiction issues, or just whatever it might be. Are those families who become disenfranchised from their vet, are they still people that you can help?
we do, and there's actually been people that have gone through our program and got back with their families. Got their kids back and was able to move back home to where they wanted to and get back with their families. So I mean, there's a lot of great stories. My personal story that keeps me motivated when I start losing focus was during COVID. This man, he had a great job. He had a career, not a job. He had a career. He was making money, had a mortgage, wife, three kids or 2 kids. I'm not sure which, but and had everything moving on. And COVID hit. And he lost his job, thinking he was still going to find another job because he had a great career. He was good at his job and good at what he did. Kept on paying his mortgage off until he ran out of money. He moved into the van with his wife and kids and was living in the van for 3 months until he heard about us, which really sucks because that people don't hear about us. We want them to hear about us. So, but he finally found us. We put him in a hotel room that same night. So the kids were able to get a hot shower in beds. And the veteran and his wife too, of course.
Yeah.
But they got food, they got treatment, and the last thing I heard is he's back on his career and has another mortgage. One of the very big success stories that we've had. So, I mean, that's one of the stories that really gets me in my heart, making saying, yes, I'm doing a good job. This is something we're doing
That's why
great.
we connect with our community partners. We're not just, I don't collect names. I have a whole Rolodex. I can tell me what you need. I can call somebody up in a heartbeat and say, hey, I got somebody, let's talk. Okay, what do you want to do? And then that's, they're right there. Anybody on that list, I've sent people to them. I've referred people to them. I've connected them with other community partners. We're all at one time or another trying to help each other out, because if we can't help them, I know somebody that can, and that's what we do.
And those people want to help. So they're not ignoring you or anything like that. And they're doing the same thing that we're doing. So they feel good about your call. When you call and say, hey, I got this guy. Great. Give him to me.
Yep.
Let's work with it. Let's get it done.
Absolutely. We were talking off air. We were talking about, obviously I don't want to get involved in a lot about the money and stuff and the grants and the federal assistance and all that. But you rely a lot on philanthropy and people just giving. Without a list of names and stuff, I mean, what do you want to say to those people who have been supporting you all along and continue to support you?
Just in awe. I mean, just a shout out to
the only way we can do what we're doing is because of them. I mean, the Coker Center, not throwing a name out there, but they actually help fund the building that we are working in, the Anson building. I mean, without them doing what we're doing, we wouldn't even have a place to work out of. So it's them creating the opportunities for us to be able to go out there and help the veterans. It's just amazing.
Yeah, there's so many to name, but the one we worked mostly was Publix. They're a huge supporter of what we do. We have a veteran advisory board that we meet the last Thursday of every month, and we have a public guy that he comes in and makes sure that they're supporting us and whatever we need. He just says it all the time, like, what is it you need? What do you need from us? So they've been fantastic at supporting us. When
we do the turkey dinners, we get a lot of support from them. 15th Street Fisheries. I mean, there's a lot of great companies out there.
I think, I know that the heart of philanthropy is not about recognition. It's about helping. But it would be nice to recognize these people once in a while and stuff.
We do all the time.
To know that, I mean, I know you guys do, but it would be great to get it even more out there in public. Look what these great people are doing for your community, your veterans, your friends, your neighbors.
Matter of fact, one of the things
on the list
like for Publix, for instance, when we actually will take sections of all the Publix in the areas, and we go out there and meet with the manager and thank them for their help.
That's fantastic.
Give them a bag of goodies, not anything expensive or anything, just little cheap stuff, but it's something, getting something.
But we want
stuff we bought at Winn-Dixie. We'll bring it over to
But we go out there to make sure that when we're there, we don't go in the back office. We're out there to make sure,
like a pen and some other things.
Customers see us thanking them for their support.
That's awesome. So, what's the thought process now? You've been doing it for 5 years. You've been doing it
actually just about a year this month.
Yeah. What's the thought process over what you'd like to see happen now that you've been doing it for a while and you're expanding your programs and helping people? And I just want to make it clear about, you're not setting people up and taking care of them for the rest of their lives.
No.
Everything you do is about a transition from where they're at to where they want to be.
Correct.
And that's what this whole thing is.
Yeah.
What would you like to see happen, or what would you like to achieve in the near future, the next couple of years, say?
More transitional housing. Definitely want to get more of that. I want to see my mentorship program take off. I want to be at least 100 mentors strong. So anybody out there that wants to be a mentor, they can go to United Way Broward.org and sign up for that.
And that's a great way to give too. You don't have to give money. You can give your time and your experiences.
An hour a week. We give them all the information they need. So if the veteran has a need, they can go through the book and say, hey, well, we got this program, or here's who you call to get that done, and make sure you don't miss your court on this date, and you have a ride to get there. Well, Michigan United can give you a ride to get there because we have a lift program.
Wow.
So I mean, we have a lot of different ways, and a lot of different ways for veterans and healthcare givers, therapists and stuff like that can give back to veterans that are in need, because they need that extra help to get more stability and more understanding of what their needs to be covered are. So it's a great mentorship program. It's going to really take off and really help out. They did it 6 years ago, and it was a phenomenal program for the veteran court. We also want to help people that are coming out of SOCOM.
SOCOM.
Oh,
Southern Command.
Southern Command.
Okay.
So people are just coming out of the military. They don't have any idea what they need to do or where to go and stuff like that. We can help them. We can help focus.
That would be, what a great idea that would be. It was like, here's your first stop. Stop in at Mission United, sit and talk with them. Because what we did is we just had you've been in service for 8 years, you've been active duty, you've done, you've been in war zones, you've done this, you've done that. And in a 2-hour conversation, I just gave you a list of all your services, and you're going to remember that? No, you're not. So why don't you do this? Have a contact, maybe set up a contact at something like Mission United where they can call up, and then it can be a conversation based on, needs instead of just a list of shit that's out there.
Yeah, and we do have that phone number. It's 9544 United. So it's 954, the number 4, and then United. And they can call that. It's actually 211, but it's the veteran side of it.
Okay.
And as soon as a person tells them what their needs are, they know where to direct them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And United Way helps fund 211. So
and 211 will even, their council will even start the intake process if they can, to speed the process up. So they'll start the whole intake question, saving them time and speeding up that service much faster.
and send us an email with all that information so we can take care of it.
It's almost like another level of mentorship. I mean, just everything you guys do is a certain level of mentorship. So it seems to me like a mentor program should be a huge thing for you guys. And
Yeah,
I hope it expands big for you.
Me too. I definitely do too. I think it's a great program. It'll help a lot of veterans get up from their feet, give them a hand up, and get going. So I think it's a great program.
And once they connect with somebody, it's a little easier to say, I don't know something, and ask for information than to go ask strangers.
And you're asking another veteran, so
You're
it's not
asking another vet.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. What would you like to see happen in the next few years?
My biggest one is still awareness. It's been since I was in the military, even it's amazed to me for the fact that even when I was on active duty, the services that were provided, I used to share with my junior sailors. I was like, hey, did you know that you could go over here and rent a table instead of buying one? It costs you $1, or there's sport. It's just the awareness. I mean, I'm constantly, even this morning, I went to my VA appointment and there was a lovely lady there with her child, and she went over to the dentist window to talk to them. And I explained to her about the NOVA services. Are you aware that, that way you could probably receive better services? Not saying the VA had terrible service. I'm just telling you that there's other services that are available to you for you and your child than whatever the VA doesn't cover.
Well, the VA doesn't do dental reconstruction or anything. They just pull the teeth.
Yeah.
At the VA, and they don't do any other stuff. So,
so that you're like me, you got veneers the VA gave you. I'm in the active duty. That's the only thing they're covering.
Active duty, though. Right?
Yeah, I was on active duty. If they break, they'll replace the veneers.
Right.
But that's it. Nothing else.
Yeah. So it's a very limited dental program at the VA. I'd love to have that expanded.
Yeah.
And the only people that are qualified for it are people that had prior conditions, homeless, or 100% disabled.
Wow.
Anybody else, 90% disabled, you're not qualified for it.
Yeah.
So
that's just my biggest. It's just awareness of sharing this information with people, getting them aware of benefits and entitlements. There's so much that are available, even from state to state, that I share with individuals. They're like, I didn't know that. It's like, it's constantly mind-numbing to the fact that they're not aware of everything they're entitled to.
yeah.
Well, I will volunteer the services of Sober Life Studios, One Brother, One Sister, and our Sober Life Studios here. That if you'd ever like to bring in any of the people who have availed themselves and succeeded, to do a little testimonial that we could put on the website and put out maybe in social media and let people know what's going on. Something we could think about is one way to expand.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate that.
And get the word out. But guys, I like myself, when I worked in the addiction field and everything else, I'd love to come to a day when my services are no longer required.
Yep.
I would love to have that day, but I think we're all a long way away from that. But hey, keep working at it. One day you'll work yourself out of a job. That'll be great.
That'd be awesome.
That would be great if there's no more suffering, you know.
Yeah.
But,
That's human nature, though.
we're a long way from that. I just, last question. It seems like homeless veterans without services, veterans who with mental health that does not get treated, stuff like that. It seems like this is a new problem, but this has been going on from the dawn of time. Am I right?
Oh,
Yeah, definitely.
it's just more with social media news. It's coming more to the front light that people are becoming aware, but it's been a long time. It's been a lot.
It seems like Hollywood had it because one of the standard costumes of homeless people was some sort of military jacket or hat.
Yeah.
Because they made this connection that when you walk around, every couple of homeless people, you're going to see a veteran sitting there and somebody. So it's almost sad that we've accepted that. And that's like, well, you're homeless, you're probably a vet, what war did you fight in? And it's like, that should not be something that people take lightly, should it?
No. I mean, to be honest, I'm like, you could probably already know a homeless vet and not know they're homeless because not all of them look like the movies portray them.
Right.
I mean, I've met quite a few vets that were homeless that I didn't even know they were homeless until they told me they were. It's like, really?
Yeah. Some of them even have jobs.
Yeah.
But they live out of their car. But they have a job and they work and stuff like that.
And they're not, they don't hit these problems, whether it's homelessness or other service problems. They're not hitting every one of those because they're crazy.
No.
Or because they're an addict or an alcoholic. There's many different reasons, many. And we shouldn't ever make an assumption about somebody's story just by looking at them, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that working with it is trying to remove that stigma.
Yeah.
Is that when you see a homeless person, you automatically think that they're crazy. No, like I said, I can introduce you quite a few vets that they, like you said, you were telling a story that they lost their job. Age discrimination is a hard thing to prove. I mean, they lose their job during COVID. I met a lovely lady we met at the homeless thing with BSO. She was 60? Her husband died. She lost her job. She lost everything.
Yeah.
And because of her age, she can't get a job because ageism is a true fact, but it's a hard thing to prove.
Yeah, but that really, ageism only applies to old people, right? I made light. I apologize.
I laughed. I was funny.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you guys both, Sean, Bryan, both of you guys for what you do. Sean, I always look forward to our shows so we can talk more about this. Maybe we'll get some numbers for next show about what we're seeing in statistically how many vets are suffering from all different kind of areas of issues, just so people can understand. This is a large scope. We're not dealing with 20 people out on the street.
No, we're dealing with thousands.
Thousands. Just in this area alone.
We go underneath the bridges, the shelters, the hospital. I mean, everywhere. They're everywhere. So,
in fact, the VA, when I met with one of their administrators at the Bill Kling, he told me there was a homeless encampment across the street of vets. The first thing I did was I called the engagement team going, hey, we need to get somebody out here to talk to these people because we weren't even aware they were there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and not to mention, I mean, places like Mission United, certainly if you're starting to struggle, if you see something coming down the road, maybe making that preemptive call,
Yes.
you guys, they can connect with services before they end up in a dire circumstance, right?
Yeah. We used to tell vets that all the time. If there's a hair that goes up on the back of your neck that something's going to go wrong, it's better to get out in front of it. And then instead of calling somebody on a Friday afternoon at 5:00 going, hey, I just got thrown out, going, oh no, now what are we going to do?
Yeah. If you're unemployed, you're running low, you've got whatever issues are going on, or you're sick and you're not getting the services you need because get in front of that. Don't wait until it's too late.
Well, we got a great program that if you're behind on your rent, it's called the SFVF program, and it's part of the VA. But we can pay back the rent. We've done 10 months of rent back pay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We can find a new place for you. We can pay first, last, and double security to get you in the door. That double security at this point, right now, I don't know if it'll change. At this point, that double security at the end of the lease goes back to you. back to the veteran, not to Mission United, so they can use that moving forward for the next place and stuff like that. We also have a shell subsidy program where we can pay 50% of your rent for the next 2 years. There's so many different great programs that we have, but that's my favorite program is SFVF program. So how much it helps the veteran out. You do have case management. You do have people watching you, making sure you're moving forward and not just sitting on your laurels. So you have to meet our goals to get our services, but they're great services. So if you can meet those goals, you're pretty good set.
Yeah, and the acronym stands for Supportive Services for Veteran Families.
You guys love your acronyms.
Yes, we
What
do.
the hell is it with the military and acronyms?
There's a lot of acronyms out there that people don't realize are actually acronyms. So
Yeah, they just think it's a word, and it's
Like-
not. It's,
so just throw just a little bit like SCUBA is actually an acronym.
well, it's self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, right?
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that. So there's a lot of acronyms.
It's the only
out
one
there.
I know, and it's from Johnny Quest, the old show. I used to
Oh
love.
God, let's not there. Haji and all them. Yeah.
There you go. There you
Be
go.
careful. We're showing our age here.
Yeah,
We're
I
showing
know.
our age.
I know. Hey, listen, folks, thanks for joining us today. We do appreciate it. I want to thank Bryan Jones and, of course, Sean McPhee, my partner in crime here, as we try to get the word out about what Mission United is doing, and more importantly, about what's going on in our communities that we don't even know about, the people that need help. It's not a free ride by any way, shape, or form when we're helping these veterans. I'm going to tell you right now that we could not do enough to repay them for the service that they've given us and the time that they've spent putting their lives on the line. And I don't care if they're pushing papers. They're just a phone call away from being deployed somewhere, no matter what you're doing, what job you have. So this is important that we take care of the people who have looked after us and get involved. Go to UnitedWayBroward.org/Mission United, and you find out more about what's going on. You can certainly reach out and ask questions in the comment sections of this podcast, and we will look at those questions as well. But again, Bryan, Sean, good to see you guys. Thanks for everything you do. We appreciate not only your service in the service, but your service after the service.
And thank you for supporting.
Yeah, thank you for getting the word out for us. We appreciate that too.
It's a hell of a way to kill a Monday. No, I'm kidding. I love doing this because I've seen, especially with my grandfather, I saw what he went through. You know, and he was back in World War II, and he was part of the Ghost Troops and did all this. But they used to still put people from the same town together in the same troop. And he lost his childhood best friends. He lost right in front of him. And he came back. Now, luckily, he came back and he had a plan and he did what he had to do. But it's nice to know at the end of his life that he had the VA there for him, helping him. He had counselors and therapists and doctors. And thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
And he would have been really proud of the work that you guys are doing. I can tell you that right now. So, Grandpa, if you're up there, wherever you ended up,
We're hoping he's up.
I love the man, but he's you don't know. All right. Again, Mission United, don't forget to like this show, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. We will catch you next time right here on Battlefront to Homefront podcast from Mission United. Bye-bye.